Let me unmute my mic. That might help a little bit. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Saturday night stream. Might not be Saturday night for you, but welcome still. We don't judge here. Just kidding. We totally judge. Judgment is a part of life. Get over it. Okay. What are we talking about this week? Has been another week of lockdowns. Another week of quarantines. Another week of social distancing. And what has it all been for? Does the pandemic warrant the panic? The panic? We will discuss all this and more coming up on Noise with Nick Live. Sit back, relax, grab yourself a cup of whatever you like on Saturday night. Let's get into it.
We've got to cut through the noise.
That's what we do here. Just keep on cutting. Keep on cutting at the noise. Noise coming at you from all different directions. Most of it doesn't really mean anything. Plenty of noise came out this week. It's just nonsense. Nonsense. It's white noise. You know, like a bathroom fan, like ocean waves. Do any of you turn on sounds to go to sleep? I do the waves. I do the ocean waves. Spotify. Just it's relaxing, but there's not a whole lot of logic in the actual sound I'm listening to. It's just something that I can use to drown out and focus my mind. That's what I compare the mainstream media now to these days. It's just white noise. They come out with all these accusations against the president, but what are they really saying? It's just nonsense. They quabble over nothing, just nothingness. Some great, fascinating things. Before we get into that, do yourself a favor, make sure you're subscribed, turn notifications on, turn all notifications on. YouTube wants to trick you into clicking subscribe and then they're still not going to show you any notifications. So what you got to do is click that bell. Make sure that you have all notifications. Very important. Otherwise you won't see me again. You'll never hear from me again. And it's not that I stopped posting. It's that YouTube stopped showing you because they don't like the truth. They're not too big on that. But yeah, some fascinating things came out this week. I think one of the most ridiculous things I saw was well, obviously we all know who Ben Shapiro is. We all know who this man is. But apparently some students at NYU don't really know who or what Ben Shapiro is. They have spoken out against Ben Shapiro coming and giving a speech at their university, at their campus. I believe it's scheduled for October. But in their in their protest official statements, they have labeled Ben Shapiro as a white supremacist. You can't make this up. This is just it's ridiculous. Tell me well, I'll let you be the judge for yourself. Let's see. Okay. That's not what I wanted. Oh, it went too far. Tell me what you see. Tell me what you see there. What is that? How is a devout Jewish man, he practices Judaism religiously. By the way, I'm not saying that to be hyperbolic. He's a Jew. He's very Jewish. He practices Sabbath. How is he a white supremacist? Are these universities just not teaching the facts of World War II? That was kind of a thing that happened where a bunch of actual white supremacists kind of treated a lot of Jewish people unfairly. To say it in extremely simple terms. Let's get into this, because this is just... I got my coffee. Let's go. Syracuse, not NYU, my bad. Syracuse University Student Association in a virtual meeting passed a resolution Monday condemning conservative figure Ben Shapiro's planned speech at the school this fall. The college paper, the Daily Orange, reported. The lengthy resolution also branded Shapiro as a, quote, white supremacist. Now, once again, no. You have what you've done is you've actually illustrated how uneducated you are. If you did any research into who Ben Shapiro is, what he is, if you did any research into the things he said against hate groups such as Aryan Brotherhood, which is one white supremacist group, he's spoken out against them several times. You are too lazy to just do a little bit of digging. It's not hard. It's not hard. And it's extremely ironic to call someone white supremacist when in the same exact paragraph you can see right here, the same paragraph that labels him a white supremacist also acknowledges that Shapiro himself is Jewish. Not only is he Jewish, but he is a religious. He practices Judaism religiously. What more do you want? I don't understand. It's worth noting the Boston Globe issued a correction last fall after one of its columnists erroneously called Shapiro's news site, The Daily Wire, a white supremacist adjacent alt-right outpost. You know, I'm not going to spend too much more time on this, but there used to be this thing called journalistic integrity. And my wife is watching. First chat ever. What's up, babe? There used to be this thing called journalistic integrity, where you understood that your job as a journalist was to portray the truth, not portray your opinion and cut up a bunch of different things and make quick judgments on people based upon they said some things that were hurtful to you or to your beliefs, or they didn't believe exactly like you believed, so they must be a white supremacist. No. If there were anywhere near as much white supremacists as the left accuses people of, don't you think you would have at least ever met one, like in real life? I've never run into someone who's like an actual white supremacist. I've never met one. Not once. Not once in my life. So how can all of these people be white supremacists? Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't add up. Nobody truly practices actual journalism anymore. It's just a bunch of opinion field nonsense. Just like this. So since the left failed to impeach the president in February, in January, now they've got their new crime. You know, there's always something wrong that he's doing. And they found their new label. Far left Democrat accuses President Trump of war crimes over government's coronavirus response. This is just utter garbage. Utter garbage. We've already gone over the timeline of how the events actually unfolded, how the federal government actually responded to the signs and to the warnings that were being issued. I'll say this first. Nobody can truly know the future. Nobody can know the future. The left has very incredibly shown us this in their predictions of how bad they thought that this pandemic would get. And it's not over yet. But I'll say this, it's nowhere near where they said it was going to be. I mean, they were projecting the death toll for the United States in the hundreds of thousands. It's nowhere near that. It's nowhere near that. And then you're going to flip the table and get mad at the president because he didn't respond in exactly the way that you would have. Well, you've already shown yourself to respond in sluggish ways. The president is actually the one who kind of broke the grain a little bit and responded quickly. Put a ban on any leisure travel from China. He did that first. He did that 24 hours after the World Health Organization issued a global pandemic warning. Now, the World Health Organization was very slow and very sluggish in their response. there might be something to look into there. But accusing Donald Trump of war crimes for the way that he's handled this thing is just, it's outrageous. U.S. Representative Ayanna Pressley, Democrat from Massachusetts, a far-left freshman Democrat, is now accusing the president of war crimes over his administration's response to the pandemic. As far as I'm concerned, what's happening with this administration, it's akin to war crimes. Okay. Criminal negligence, science denials. Oh, there it is. There it is. There's the name calling. A sluggish response. Pressley said in a video this week, and so we find ourselves in the position of playing catch up in the midst of a pandemic, which is the last place that you want to be in the midst of any public health crisis. Certainly of a pandemic is working from behind. Okay. Tell me how are we behind? Tell me how we're behind. Give me actual evidence that we're behind, because New York is the is where they were asking for how many thousands of ventilators? 30,000? 30,000 ventilators? 40,000 ventilators? I think I have this pulled up somewhere. Let's see. No, that's not it. They were saying the governor of New York was asking for 40,000 ventilators. And they've only used 6,000. The Trump administration sent 4,400 ventilators to them in total. How selfish is it to ask for 40,000 when you only actually used 4,400? That's incredibly selfish. Incredibly selfish. And yet you want to say that that the president, she says it somewhere in here, willful killing, pulling out the 1949 war crimes definition from the Geneva Convention, says that the president is guilty of willful killing because their response was sluggish. No, it wasn't sluggish. It was appropriate. It wasn't sluggish because when you have many governors like Governor Cuomo in New York, who's asking for way more than they actually needed. Now, he might not have known that at the time, but he's asking for way more than he actually needed. Couldn't that be considered willful killing in your own definition? Because he's asking for more than he needs that could have been used elsewhere. When every other governor is saying we don't have enough, we need more. It doesn't add up. Now the governor of New York is giving away ventilators because they overestimated. They didn't need 40,000. They didn't need anywhere near 40,000, not even anywhere near 30,000. I don't think we're behind on this pandemic. As much as CNN would love to have you believe that, as much as MSNBC would love to have you believe that, as much as United States Representative Ayanna Pressley would love to have you believe that, we're not. We're not behind. It's actually slowed down in many places. It's time to start thinking about what's next. Here's why they want you to think that we're still behind this. that we haven't gotten this thing under control. As long as you are afraid that you're going to die if you walk outside of your front door, that's their power that they have over you. Now, here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying go out and just congregate and breathe on everybody and act like nothing ever happened. No. Of course not. That would be stupid. Especially with a virus out there that doesn't have a vaccine. Just saying. But what's even more stupid is to accuse the president of willful killing when he's done more than all of you combined. That's stupid. I'm just saying. You want to talk about actual war crimes? Yeah, we're going there. You want to talk about actual willful killing? The Obama administration practiced what is called double tapping. Double tapping drone strikes. Not only did the Obama administration issue a total of about 10 times as many drone strikes as President Bush did. Look at this, 563 drone strikes, largely by drones. A total of 563 strikes, largely by drones, compared to 57 under Bush. These drone strikes, a large number of them were what they call double tap strikes. What that means is that a double tap drone strike involves bombing a target, waiting a period of 5 to 20 minutes, often during which first responders arrive, and then bombing the target a second or even third time. This is a piece asking and answering the question of, who should really be guilty of war crimes? Should Obama be held to the same standard that you're holding against Donald Trump? Not even the same standard. A much less aggressive standard still. This double tap drone strike strategy would oftentimes kill at least 50 civilians. Not even terrorists. Civilians that would show up. First responders would show up. Ambulance, police. And then a second strike would take place. This is something that the Obama administration carried out many times. How is that not war crimes? How is that not war crimes? We want to talk about who really deserves to be found guilty of war crimes. Which sounds more appropriate? A president that was very patient and wise with the very limited number of resources that he had at his disposal. I'm talking ventilators specifically, but more so masks, gloves, medicine. These were all things that the Obama administration accessed several times throughout his presidency and never made an attempt to restock. It is very true that the Trump administration inherited a dwindled down federal stockpile of medical supplies. That's a fact. Obama stuck his hands in that cookie jar at least 3 times and showed no signs of attempting to restock it. Shouldn't he be held to the same standard? Shouldn't he be found guilty of willful killing? How ridiculous. What a ridiculous place we find ourselves in. American people are out there not even being able to pay their mortgages, not even being able to keep their businesses afloat. And all you can think about is accusing the president of war crimes. Sure. When your side of Congress was blocking a bill for over a business week that would provide relief for small businesses, sure. The president is guilty of war crimes. He's guilty of a sluggish response. When your bill was promoting solar panel and windmill subsidies, when your bill was promoting a federal ban on voter ID cards, yeah, sure, the president was sluggish. You're embarrassing. You're embarrassing. Your party is so embarrassing. I'm sure you guys saw this. Democratic State Representative Vernon Jones from Georgia, I believe, sent shockwaves earlier this month when he bucked his own party and endorsed President Donald Trump's re-election bid. Now, that's not entirely true. That's a little bit of a misleading sentence, because what actually happened is Representative Jones endorsed President Trump to be reelected. And after the outcry of backlash, then he bucked his own party. That's what happens when you step out of line on the left. When you express your own opinion, which you have every constitutional right to do, you get bucked. You get boycotted. He says, "I'm sick and tired of me and my family being attacked and harassed by the Democrat Party for putting my country before my party." He wrote in a press release, "My First Amendment right to freedom of speech is under siege. I intend to help the Democratic Party get rid of its bigotry against black people that are independent and conservative." Wow. I endorsed the white guy that let blacks out of jail. And they endorsed the white guy that put blacks in jail, he said. "Turn the lights off. I have left the plantation. Someone else can occupy that suite. Therefore, I intend not to complete my term effective April 22nd, 2020. Wow. So because he endorsed President Trump, he now is put in a position where he has to step down. How ridiculous. How ridiculous. This doesn't happen in the opposite way, by the way. Just in case you're wondering. I know what you're thinking. Representative Katie Hill from California, she had to step down because there was outcry from the Republicans. Yeah. But what she was doing was not it was not expressing her First Amendment rights. You remember Katie Hill, a representative of the United States Congress. Let's do this. Ben Shapiro. There's no way he's a white supremacist. You are gravely mistaken. Katie Hill. Bong. Learn how to type, not being bong. I'm not sure if you remember this. That is one of her staffers. She was a representative in the United States Congress from California. And she's kissing one of her staffers. Not married to her. She was also caught in a picture. Oh, there it is. That's her, not wearing clothing, brushing her staffer's hair in a picture. Does that amount to oh, I never transitioned it. Here it is. There it is right there. I'm not going to show the whole picture because we don't need to see that. She's brushing a woman's hair naked. How is that the same? Does that come across as appropriate behavior for a United States Congresswoman? Kissing your staffers, brushing their hair naked, smoking from bongs. How is that the same as your freedom of opinion? It's not the same. This kind of behavior, you know, when somebody endorses someone you don't like, it only happens from the left. They outcry, they group together, and they kick and they scream and they throw tantrums until the person cannot take it anymore, and he ends up stepping down from his duly elected seat in Congress. Why? Because he endorsed someone he believed in. He wasn't participating in illegal activities. He wasn't being weird. All he was doing was giving his opinion. This does not happen in reverse. Republicans don't behave this way towards the left, or towards their own party, rather. They don't. Where's the proof of this? Well, we all remember the Republican that... I don't even remember his name. Oh, Mitt Romney. Yeah. Mitt Romney. We all know him. He's flip-flopped so many times. He's still Republican. He was in support of Trump, and then he spoke out against Trump. He's done this several times in his career, just completely flip-flopped. Just the most ingenuine person you can think of. But guess what? That's his right to be able to endorse or not endorse anybody he wants. That's his right to do that. The right does not bully him and his family into stepping down from his seat in the Senate because he expressed his opinion. Do I like the guy? No. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him. And I can't throw him. I can't throw a grown man. I'm not that strong. So I guess what I'm trying to say is there's a lot more diversity on one side of the table. Isn't it funny? The party that claims to be about diversity, that focuses every single angle of their politics on shallow things like the color of your skin, your sexual preference. They're the party that doesn't tolerate anything. They're self-prescribed tolerant. They're the tolerant left. But as soon as anybody steps out of line, as soon as anybody speaks out and gives their own opinion, they get boycotted and bullied into stepping down. It's the way it is. When you focus your entire political opinions, your entire political landscape is solidified and shallow things. Identity politics, so shallow. The definition of judging a book by its cover. When you focus on identity politics, you're not going to be tolerant. It's just not going to happen. It's time to get serious. I mean, seriously, guys. What is our future going to look like? What is the future in this country going to look like? You may have not saw this. My knee itches. A Dallas salon owner reopened yesterday and refuses to close despite government threats. There's the salon right there. The owner of a Dallas salon reopened her doors Friday in violation of Texas' ongoing coronavirus shutdown. And despite a citation from the city, a cease and desist letter, and a visit from law enforcement, she plans to keep her business open. That's fantastic. Shelley Luther owns Salon a la Mode, where 19 stylists work. She announced earlier this week that she would be reopening after being forced to shut down a month ago, despite government dictates and threats. She explains, "I'm behind on my mortgage." Luther explained to Inside Edition before she reopened, "I know a lot of my stylists haven't paid their mortgages. It's either come in and make money and be able to feed your family, or stay home and freak out." That's where we are. That's where we are. There are people out there that cannot pay their mortgage. There are people out there, oddly enough, that aren't receiving any income besides a stimulus check that doesn't cover the bills. Believe it or not. So she decides, okay, you know what? I'm done. I'm done staying home and freaking out when I could just reopen my business. I'm just gonna reopen it. And to those I would say this is incredibly careless, reckless, selfish, whatever you're going to prescribe. I would argue if you're worried about spreading the disease, then just don't go to her salon. You don't have to, she's not forcing anybody into her salon. She's not forcing anybody to get her hair styled. Like it's purely by choice. If you want to go out, you should have the right to do that. Despite the pushback she has received for reopening, Luther says she has been left with no other choice. You got to make money. The government, if you're not gonna cover the expenses of our lives while you put them on pause, then you have to let us go back to work, is what she's saying. Look at this. She made the payment on her salon for the lease on her business instead of paying her own home mortgage. Like, that's literally scraping the bottom of the bucket, just doing whatever it takes to survive. Do I want my business to survive, or am I gonna get behind on my mortgage and face the penalties of that? That's the kind of choices people are being out there having to make. And I tell you what, I don't completely disagree with her. I don't completely disagree with her. Like, it's time that we had this discussion. It's time that we started discussing what it looks like to go back to work. And despite what AOC says, I just don't believe that everybody's going to say, no, we're not doing it. I don't think that's a solution. I don't even think that's in the realm of reality. People are getting restless. They're getting desperate. And they're just gonna start doing it anyways. Despite warnings from law enforcement and a cease and desist from a judge, she said, "No, I'm just gonna do it anyways. I'm doing it anyways. You're not gonna stop me." And she also says that there's been tons of people coming in, getting their hair styled. She's been making money. She's been making bank. You know why? Probably because she's the only one open. Genius business choice to just be like, okay, you know what? We're going to do it. We have a monopoly on the hair salon business right now. Let's take advantage of it. Deal with that. Let's see. What should we talk about next? Oh, here we go. Here's a good one. You remember how the president, let's see. What day was this? April 20th. So it was earlier this week. 6 days ago, 5 days ago. President Trump made headlines because he accused Democrats of going after Christian churches, but not enforcing the same standards. Not enforcing the same standards for mosques. And of course, the media just ate this up. I don't think they realize when Trump says things like this, he wants them to take the bite. He's a master at this. He's been doing this for years. He says these crazy things that he knows the left just they can't resist. Right? It's just so scrumptious. They just have to take that headline. So he says, the Democrats, are going after Christian churches. They're not enforcing the same standards on mosques. They're not enforcing the same standards. And what the media does is they go crazy. They start accusing him of every name in the book. Here's the details from theblaze.com. A reporter asked Trump about his retweet of conservative author Paul Sperry's Twitter post, which asked, "Let's see if authorities enforce the social distancing orders for mosques during Ramadan," which is an Muslim religious celebration. It's a holy time. April 23rd to May 23rd, a month. I don't know too much details about it, but that's kind of the gist of it. Let's see if authorities enforce the social distancing orders for mosques during Ramadan like they did churches during Easter. During Ramadan, a 30-day period which begins Thursday, Muslims don't eat or drink between dawn and sunset. Okay, that's what it's like a period of fasting. Trump replied, and he was asked about this in a press briefing, and he replies, "I would like to see that. And I just spoke with leaders and people that love mosques. They love mosques." Just sounds like him. And I'm all in favor of that, but I would say that there could be a difference. And we'll have to see what will happen, because I've seen a great disparity in this country. I've seen a great disparity. Can't you just hear him saying that? The president then turned his attention to Democrats in Congress, particularly freshman U.S. Representatives AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and Ayanna Pressley. The squad. I mean, I've seen a very strong anti-Israel bent in Congress with Democrats. Was unthinkable 7, 8, or 10 years ago. And now they're into a whole different thing between Omar and AOC. I say AOC plus 3, add them on. You have, the things that they say about Israel are so bad. And I can't believe it. It's true. He didn't say anything false. Like, he didn't lie. Omar is an open anti-Semite. There's a fly in here, I'm about to smack that thing in the face. Okay. Just go and research on your own the things that Ilhan Omar has said about Israel. She hates the country. She hates it. Multiple anti-Semitic statements coming from them. And all Trump is saying is, look, it will be interesting to see how the Democrats respond to enforcing social distancing. Let me learn how to talk. My goodness. It will be interesting to see how they respond to enforcing these rules that they enforced for Easter. This very significant period for Muslims is coming up. And it will be interesting to see how they treat them. That's all he's saying. Are they going to be giving special privilege or not? Well, turns out they're going to be given special privilege. April 24th, yesterday, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio threatened to permanently close churches for Easter. You remember that, right? Like he has any power to do that. No, sir, you can't do that. And you will not do that. But he's giving Muslims 500,000 meals for Ramadan. Not that there's anything inherently wrong with giving out 500,000 meals. Nothing wrong with that. That's a fantastic thing to do. People are hungry. People are struggling to provide for their families. I applaud you for giving out 500,000 meals during this time of need. What's troubling is these meals are for Muslims And just a few weeks ago for Easter, this same guy was threatening to permanently close churches that refused to not gather for Easter. Christian churches and Jewish synagogues, where it's actual literal words. Is that fair treatment? Is that enforcing the same social distancing measures? It doesn't sound like it. As a matter of fact, it sounds pretty one-sided, pretty lopsided. It sounds pretty in favor of anything but Christianity and the Jewish communities. That's all we're saying. And what you realize now is that Trump predicted the future. He did. He called this. April 20th, he said it will be interesting to see how they do this. April 24th, New York City mayor walks right into the trap that Trump has laid, and he doesn't even care. Just so openly biased. The 500,000 halal meals will be distributed at 32 different Department of Education buildings and other community organizations during Ramadan. One of Ramadan's most noble callings is to feed the hungry, de Blasio said Thursday during a press briefing. To remember to be there for those in need. And that is now, harder than ever, that people can't go to their mosques. Oh, so now he's found sympathy for people that are not being able to freely practice their God-given, natural-given right to religion. Now he's feeling some heaviness in his heart because they're just they can't go to their place of worship. It doesn't sit right because this same exact person a few weeks ago threatened to permanently close Christians' place of worship. That's all we're saying. It sounds and it feels distasteful and openly biased. That's all. That's it. Nothing more to say, really. That's the truth. The president said this could happen, and then it did. Nothing really more to say about it. Let's see, what else could we talk about? We've already talked about Ben Shapiro not being a white supremacist. We've talked about the ridiculous notion that Trump is guilty of war crimes. No, he's not. Here's the deal. I think he's doing the best he can. He's doing the best he can with what he has. Just like everybody else. Well, not everybody. I'm a pretty optimistic person. I tend to think that, that most people, we're doing the best we can. We couldn't see the future. Didn't know this was going to happen. Despite what the liberal media wants you to think, that this was a certain thing that was going to happen and the president just purposefully didn't respond. That's not what happened. Everybody's doing the best we can. There's some people that want to throw a wrench in the gears and try to make it look like something it wasn't. But what does the future look like? That's the real question. That's the real question. We're seeing the answer to that question play out right before us. Business owners are saying, you know what? I need to pay my mortgage. I need to feed my family. I need my business to survive. So, tell you what, we're just gonna reopen. We're gonna reopen. You're not gonna stop us. What's interesting, I didn't have this article saved, but I did pull it up earlier today. I was reading that the Texas governor has actually issued that they're planning to. This fly is really bothering me. I don't know if you see it buzzing around. I'm about to go to blows with this thing. What's interesting is that now the governor of Texas has issued a statement saying they're planning to reopen soon. They're going to reopen a lot of businesses soon. So who knows? Maybe this business reopening was the push that they needed. I don't know. Look, we're still writing this thing out. We don't know the future. But I'll tell you what. I don't think we're going to be in lockdown for very much longer. The evidence is coming forth. The potency of this virus is starting to become known. And it's starting to become obvious of how painfully wrong some of the predictions were. Some of the predictions, not all of them. Look, I'm not trying to spread misinformation. Okay, Google, if you're listening. All I'm saying is some people were wrong in their predictions. That's all. So what does the future hold? What's it going to look like? Are people going to start going back to work soon? There is so much, unlike what AOC wants, is, hey, this is a time for us to say no. No, we're gonna keep suckling at the government's teat. We're gonna milk our government dry. That's what socialists like AOC want. They live in this fantasy utopia where nobody has to work for a living. That's not ever gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. There is so much more to be engineered, to be invented. There's so much more technology that we haven't even discovered yet. There's so much more out there. There's businesses that haven't even been born yet that are going to change the world. And what, you want to put a stop to that? Just for the sake of winning a little bit of political brownie points? It's truly astonishing. But that's where we are. That's where we are. I think we're gonna cut off the live stream now. Come again next week. We're gonna be putting out some more content throughout the week, and we'll be back here Saturday night, just the same as usual. Hopefully we get a little more people chiming in, but I will see you then. We're gonna make it. It's gonna be okay. All right. I will see you later.